Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We'll get started in just a moment to allow a few more attendees to log in. In the meantime, on the screen, you can see we have a few housekeeping items. This webinar is being recorded and will be made available afterward. Closed captioning is available in your settings. To minimize disruptions, all microphones are off and cameras are off. We'll hold a Q&A session after the presentations, so please submit your questions at any time using the Q&A pane. And we will get started in just a couple minutes here. Okay, I think we can get started now as more participants join. Darren, next slide. Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to this month's SB 1383 Chat with CalRecycle. Today we're focusing on organic waste diversion and edible food recovery at local education agencies. My name is Arti Lal and I'll be your facilitator for today's chat. I'm a senior environmental scientist specialist in the local assistance and market development branch of CalRecycle. One of the programs I oversee in our branch is our schools program. We're thrilled to have some great presenters today. I have had the privilege to visit their schools and see their programs in action. So I'm very excited for them to share their programs with you. Helping with the webinar today are our Climate Action Corps Fellows, Karina Cruz and Emily May. Karina and Emily have been assisting our branch, providing education and outreach to schools and school districts throughout California. We have Zach Smith, who will be moderating our Q&A session. Helping me answer questions are Danielle Osborne, Kyle Pogue, Julia Garcia, Michelle Chavez Peralta, and Laura Chain. Also assisting are Mallory Burton, Darren Sprecher, and Chris Bria, providing technical support. And finally, this chat was organized by Diana Suarez Arguelles. I will now pass it over to our branch chief, Marshall Graham, for announcements.
Thank you, Arti. Welcome, and I hope you're all enjoying this summer. I also hope that you're ready for another informative and engaging chat with CalRecycle. I'm grateful for this opportunity for us to discuss program or SB 1383 program implementation topics and to build upon our collective experiences. I do have one announcement from our Financial Resources Management branch regarding the SB 1383 Local Assistance Grant Program, which I will read to you. The SB 1383 Local Assistance Grant Program team has received requests from several jurisdictions for additional time to complete their grant programs. The current grant program end date for cycle 4 is April 1st of 2026. And this team is in the process of drafting a grant term extension package for management approval. The grant team will send out an email notification with the outcome, most likely early next month. The final report template will be ready soon for grantees that who have utilized their grant funds and projects are complete, and grantees will be noted via notified via email when that report is available. You can contact the grant program supervisor with any related questions, and that contact is Josephine Chapman. And I will put her email in the chat. That would be josephine.chapman@calrecycle.ca.gov. And also the phone number would be 916-341-6758. And getting back to our chat, the CalRecycle chat team that was just introduced here within our local assistance and market development branch have again prepared another amazing agenda for us all today. And I want to extend our thank you in advance to our knowledgeable presenters. And also I want to thank you all for your participation and attendance, because that's what really makes this the most comprehensive and engaging experience. And with that, I'll turn it back to Arti.
Great. Thank you, Marshall. Okay, so let's continue. Dara, next slide. Okay, so before we continue, let's review a few logistical items about the Q&A process. For this webinar, we'll be using the Q&A function. If you have a question, please type it into the Q&A pane. While the chat function is available for sharing resources with other participants, we will not be monitoring the chat for questions. Please make sure to use the Q&A pane for questions. If you do not see the Q&A pane, please make sure you have the latest version of Zoom installed, or you might have to select the 3 dots next to more. Our team will be monitoring and reviewing questions submitted via the Q&A panel throughout the webinar. The Q&A session will take place after all the presentations are complete. If you're called upon to speak during the Q&A session, please state your name, affiliation, and restate your question. If your question is for a specific panelist, please be sure to mention that. If you're unable to unmute yourself or access the Q&A pane, feel free to email your questions to slcp.organics@calrecycle.ca.gov using the subject line SB 1383 Chat with CalRecycle. If we don't get to your question during the session, a LAMD representative will follow up with you after the webinar. Next slide. Okay, great. So here's a list of our presenters today. They will be sharing their strategies and successes in organic waste diversion and edible food recovery at their schools and districts. I will now pass it over to Karina Cruz to introduce our first presenter.
Thank you, RT. It is my pleasure to welcome our first presenter, Deborah Tegeson, the Manager of Food and Nutrition Services at Vallecito Union School District. With over 30 years of experience in the food service management industry, Deborah is a seasoned leader known for her ability to build strong, high-performing teams and create exceptional dining experiences. Her diverse background spans both corporate giants and family-owned operations, from Safeway in Tumwater, Washington, to Chuck Evans Grocery in Twain Harte, California. Deborah began her career at Safeway, where her commitment to excellence earned her multiple awards in safety and sanitation and customer service, recognition that reflects her deep dedication to quality, compliance, and guest satisfaction. Her leadership style is collaborative and motivating, with a strong focus on training, mentoring, and team development. She has held a wide variety of roles throughout her career, including a private home chef, a team member at acclaimed establishments such as Anthony's Hearthfire Grill, bringing both culinary creativity and operational discipline to every position. Her hands-on experience ranges from menu development and food safety implementation to customer engagement and sustainable practices. Deborah's passion lies in creating kitchens that are not only effective and safe, but are joyful places to work. Her ability to inspire teams, maintain high standards, and adapt to evolving needs of food industry makes her a valuable leader in any culinary setting. Darian, can I please have you pull up the presentation and I will pass it to Deborah.
Hello. It's good to see everybody. I need to start by saying that we have a very small school district in comparison to the larger ones that are out there. We have a total of 3 school sites with over 600 kids total. So it makes it easy to do and find funding. And we're really proud of what we've done. We started about 3 years ago. And do I need to say when we're doing the next slide?
Yes, that would be helpful.
Okay, thank you. Can we do the next slide, please? Within the last 3 years, we have done a lot of modifications. We went from overprocessed fruits and vegetables to organic produce that are locally and regionally grown throughout California. Can we do the next slide, please? Our journey so far, what we saw in the very beginning was food waste, and it was really disheartening to see cheese sticks, fresh fruit, whole meals being thrown out. It also, as everybody knows, was very it filled up our trash cans, and we were considering having to have more trash service for our schools. And noticing that, we started thinking, okay, what are the kids not eating? What are we doing wrong? And we revamped everything. And this was right after COVID, when we knew we weren't going to be doing processed foods anymore. We wanted to do speed scratch and scratch food. And that changed everything for us. It started with the vision of knowing what we wanted to do. Can we do the next slide, please? As you know, the problem with the old system was sporks, foam trays, paper trays that all are chemical laden in manufacturing, food waste. It was not sustainable. It was not aligned with our health and environmental goals. And it created so much waste. Like I said, we were considering having another trash pickup at all 3 school sites. Next slide. So it started with, okay, what can we do that isn't going to cost money for our district? So we had a clear plan in the very beginning, and it was a commitment from our leadership, which included our board members, our superintendent, and all 3 school principals. And then it was teaching the kids on implementing all of our new things. So that started with a share table. It started very rickety in the beginning, where we just put out boxes for the kids to separate their food, and then we got really fancy. We are also conducting our very first ever food waste audit, and we hope to partner with CalRecycle with that. And it's getting the kids to buy in. And part of getting the kids to buy in for us is making good food and letting them know what an apple that's overprocessed and chemically done tastes like compared to an organic piece of fruit. This would have to include all of our custodians, our maintenance, and all of our kitchen staff, who were all very happy to help us with this endeavor. Next slide. So the things that required money that we recognized pretty quickly was we needed to do our infrastructure upgrades. We had old dyeing equipment, old ovens that were just disgusting. We had our old lime infested dishwashers that were constantly needing repairs. We also noticed, and that was just in ovens, dishwashers, I don't want to forget anything. We've got new flooring. We did a whole bunch of upgrades. We also had to buy staff because we wanted to go from processed food to real baking and real cooking. We also purchased reusable trays and utensils. We bought and made sign and displays. We needed to train all of our staff, and our expansion program after what we've already done will include taking care of our gardens that we have at all three. Well, we have at 2 school sites right now. Next slide. So here's an example. We went from sporks to real silverware. We went from foam trays, the 5-compartment foam trays, to regular reusable trays, and the middle schoolers got actual plates that we now, of course, have to invest in a better dishwashing system. And this is a picture over here with one of our student chefs and the principal of this school, who one of our big things was making food that the kids loved. And so last year, the student wanted the kids to sample chicken tikka masala, and it was a huge hit at all 3 sites. Next slide. So the journey and funding, we were able to get fantastic grants, and some of this funding we were able to use in the farm to school grant. We were able to get our organic fruits and vegetables. Our Kit Fund grant, we were able to use some of this funding to upgrade all of our kitchens and create a new bake room. Our dishwasher grants, which I'm hoping that all of you were able to get, enabled us to upgrade our dishwasher and 3-compartment sinks and create new dish areas. This equaled about $380,000 worth of funding and help us launch our new better program for less waste. Next slide, please. The very first thing we were excited to do is get rid of our boxes that the kids were using and get a new share station. This is effective at all 3 of our school sites. And if you have share tables at your school sites, it is take some and leave some. And the kids love doing this. They feel a sense of participation. Of course, you're not supposed to leave whole pieces of pizza, so we had to get rid of that sign, or whole hot dogs, because the kids actually thought that they could do that. And they do leave stuff, and the kids that are still hungry are able to go back during breaks and pick up boxes of raisins, an apple, a banana. So we're constantly recycling even the food for the kids, and it's been a great program, very successful. Next slide, please. So our organic produce we get from Veritable Vegetables. It is an excellent company based in San Francisco. All of their organic fruits come from all over California. They are certified organic grown produce, and the difference is night and day. If you've ever been in a kitchen where you've using, I'm just going to throw this out there, but Cisco or US Foods or any over-processed lettuce, tomatoes, your kitchen doesn't smell like what you're doing. When we switch to all organic, all of a sudden we're smelling in our kitchen, our staff, we're smelling fresh carrots, we're smelling the tomatoes. And this is reflected on how well the kids are now actually eating our apples and eating the produce. We are also doing fresh baked goods, which also smell up the entire schools. And like I said, we're small schools, so it waves throughout the whole school and gets them hungry right at around between 10 and noon. Our share tables, like I said, have been very successful. And then we're doing with our produce waste, we've started our new, we're a farming community and livestock community. So the organic produce waste in our produce waste, we put in compostable buckets, 5-gallon buckets, and we have them at each school site. And our kitchen staff throws away those in the compost bins. And then we have staff right now and students and families that can come pick this up every day after school and feed their gardens or pigs, whatever, live chickens. And it's been really successful and gets our community involved as well. Eventually, we'd like to put our own compost into our own gardens and do the whole program with organic produce in our own garden. Next slide, please. And this is just a picture of our kids engaged in trying new stuff. So we went to organic smoothies. We have our middle school leadership involved in that, and they make all of the smoothies for the kids for breakfast in the morning. We do a mystery food Monday, and that's when the kids get to try a new organic fruit or vegetable. That's been a huge hit. We also do Buddha bowls or meal bowls for the kids. And that's been a giant hit with having all this fresh organic produce in these. And they're eating their food. I think that's the most important thing, is there's less waste when the food is good. And next slide, please. And this is just a quick little resource of where we got what we have so far. If you need any further information about any of these, I'm so happy to give it to you. Next slide, please. So I want to thank you, and I encourage all districts, no matter how big or small, to make that difference in your school district and try to meet that 50% less waste throughout our whole country. And that's our goal, is just to make the small schools that we are, just to have an impact within our own area. So thank you so much. And yes, and just really quick, somebody said, does this mean that we have to have more staff? And yes, some of our schools actually just had one person cooking and doing all of the work. And now each school site does have 3 kitchen staff in each school. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. That was so informative. I loved hearing everything that you are all doing in Vallecita Union School District. That was great. I would like to welcome our next presenters, Cody Williams and Lisa Clark. Cody Williams is the Director of Food and Nutritional Services for the Novato Unified School District in Northern California. Cody is a culinary and eco-focused operator that has kitchens in every school, implementing and cooking foods on site with an emphasis on over 20 fresh fruits and vegetables offered daily. Cody has an associate's and bachelor's degree from the Culinary Institute of America, Hyde Park, and has 30 years of food and hospitality experience. He has held leadership positions of organizations that have received Michelin stars and James Beard Awards. He has been in child nutrition for the past 12 years, and for over 7 years has been a member of the Child Nutrition Advocacy Council for the California State Board of Education and the State Superintendent's Office. He's married with a school administrator, and they live in Sonoma with their 2 daughters. Lisa Clark is the founder and executive director of Sustainable Marin Schools, an organization dedicated to reducing carbon emissions and advancing sustainability in K-12 public schools. With professional background in epidemiologist, specializing in cancer research, Lisa's path shifted when she recognized that climate change poses the greatest public health challenge of our time. Her journey in sustainability began at a personal level, spearheading zero waste initiatives at her children's elementary school. Inspired by the impact of these efforts and informed by extensive research into best practices nationwide, Lisa founded Sustainable Marin Schools to drive systematic change. Today, Lisa partners with the Novato Unified School District to deliver comprehensive programs in zero waste, decarbonization, campus greening, and resilience and environmental literacy across 8 elementary schools. Her mission is to help schools shrink their carbon footprints, reduce waste, transform campuses into green, climate-resistant spaces, and empower students to become environmental advocates and future leaders in the green economy. Darren, can I please have you pull up the next presentation, and I will pass it to Coda and Lisa.
Thank you, Karina. And wonderful presentation, Deb. Much like your program, we too are using compostables and are working towards reusables in all of our schools. One thing to build off on is our focus and efforts on prevention as well with our offer versus serve program, which I can talk more about towards the end of Lisa's presentation. And Lisa's organization, as mentioned, supports our district with the sustainability initiatives. And here's Lisa.
Thank you, Cody. It's great to be here talking with everyone today and learning more about what you're doing in your schools. Today, I'm going to talk about Novato elementary schools in particular. Next slide, please. So just a little about sustainable Marin schools. It makes sense that our goal is to make schools models of sustainability. One of our biggest programs is our zero waste program. We also offer other core programs like environmental education, campus greening, and decarbonization. We are a small new organization. We started about this same time as Deb did 3 years ago, and we are really fortunate to be able to partner with the Novato Unified School District and to be able to work in so many of their schools. We're in all 8 of the elementary schools. We are also lucky to have funding from sources from outside the district, so we're able to provide our services at no cost. It's mostly the County of Marin that supports our programs, along with a foundation, a local foundation, Marin Community Foundation. Next slide, please. So just a little bit about Novato. I live in Novato. I love the Novato schools. I think the teachers are great. And what I love most is that there's a real feeling of community in all of our schools. We are the largest school district in all of Marin County with 15 schools. 60% of our students are minorities, with Latinos making up 43%. About 17% of students are English learners, most of whom speak Spanish at home. And 45% of NUSD students qualify for free or reduced price meals. So several of our schools are Title I. So this is a really diverse and multilingual student body that we are supporting. And we think it's really important that we are very inclusive and accessible and culturally responsive. Some of the things that we do in order to facilitate that is that first of all, we present our information in English and Spanish. Second, we don't just reach out to the PTA or PTO, but we also reach out to the English Learner Advisory Commissions and engage with those parents regularly. And finally, our fellows, many of them are bilingual. Next slide, please. So I just want to clarify, this picture is a stock photo. But I chose this because it kind of, for me, summarizes the feeling of what it's like when the kids are released from lunch and have to throw everything away all at once. It is a bit of chaos. And I just wanted to share today some of the techniques that we've used to turn this chaos into a successful zero waste program. Next slide, please. So first of all, I'm going to focus on training. Next slide, please. So when I talk about training regarding recycling and composting, I mean everyone. We can't just do it for the students. Anybody who is producing trash that is ending up on our campus needs some sort of training around recycling and composting. Next slide. So what we do at the beginning of the year, especially the first and second year that we're in the schools, is we give a 10 to 15-minute presentation in every classroom on how to recycle and compost, and more importantly, why it's important. We also try to provide a Kahoot game for the teachers to share with the students so they can compete with the other students and their teacher to see who knows the most and can answer the questions the most quickly. For the little ones, the K through second, we are aiming to provide worksheets this year along with a magnet game that we've seen some of our Recology Sonoma Marin. They had a great event they were tabling, so we're trying to emulate that. In addition, we really want this message to be come up over and over again, reinforced. And so we encourage students to present to other students at assemblies. And we also love to bring in our local waste hauler, Recology Sonoma Marin. They do an amazing job talking to the kids and really get them excited. Next slide. We also attend staff meetings where we are able to present at least, it's very short periods of time because they're very busy, but 5-10 minutes max on what can be recycled and composted in the classroom. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. And then when I talk about training for kitchen staff and custodians, it's really more of a conversation, I'd say, than training. We are there, we get to observe everything that they're doing, and they talk to us about, their practices. And then we talk about, how to increase edible food diversion. We try to set up a compost container where it's very convenient for them, those kinds of things. If it's maybe a less engaged kitchen staff or custodian, then it's nice to have the waste hauler also come in and provide some training just to kind of reinforce that message, especially as it relates to SB 1383 and state law. And of course, we have a centralized kind of kitchen warehouse. And so working with Cody Williams has been fantastic in terms of reducing single-use plastics and decreasing food waste. Next slide, please. We also love to talk to some of the organizations that frequently hold parties, for example, the PTA or the PTO or the ELAC groups. And what we encourage are zero waste parties, so reusables or compostable foodwares and decorations. So we supply information about what those products are, what can be recycled and composted in Novato. And then we encourage them to not just pull out the trash can at events, but also roll out the recycling and composting carts. Also, outreach to any other groups that are on the school campus. They're usually very receptive and interested in knowing more about what we're doing and participating. Next slide. So we also focus on clear and very specific signage. This is something that we found that some of the county signage is great for at home, but we don't have things like wine bottles or big milk jugs at the schools. And so we wanted to create signage where the students could literally hold up, a product in their hand, look at the sign, and then know where to put it. And so we did waste audits to figure out what was in our waste, and then went from there to create our own signs. And I'll share that in just on the next slide. We also are using more signage on the ground. And so we are using paint or chalk that with arrows that show students the direction to go down the waste station, and also where custodians should put, the recycling and the trash and compost, so that we have the same order every single time. I noticed even for me, when I'm doing it and if the locations have been switched, I get very confused and put things in the wrong place. So consistency is very important for this. Next slide. Okay, so these are examples of our signs. We are obviously not designers or graphic artists here. We just took pictures of what we found in the waste audit and put it on a sign. These signs can be kind of expensive. We replace them about every 2 to 3 years. The thing that works best for us, because we are putting this directly on the toters that come from our waste hauler. So the trash goes on the school's trash cans. The recycling and compost signs go directly on those waste toters. And at least for our haulers, they don't mind. We were worried they might be a little upset that we had different signs on there, but they loved them. And we choose the ones that are actually made to go, they're floor decals. We also have to use duct tape around them because the plastic is hard to get things to stick to. But it is a method that works where the kids can see exactly what they have in their hand and where to put it. It doesn't mean they always look at the sign, but it is helpful. And then for our compost, you can see here some of the reusable products that Cody has incorporated in, which is absolutely fantastic. And then on the compost container, closer to the ground, we just have a sign that says stack your trays here. And that way we have just a neat stack of trays, and it doesn't take up as much space in our compost containers, because we will run out of space if we don't have the kids stack it. Next sign, please. Okay, so this is the example of signage for the ground. So the little arrows, we have this in one school, and they actually set most of this up themselves. So we don't want to take credit for it, but it is a very good method that they have. And we're setting it up in another school for sure, and we're advising the other schools to set this up. So, the arrows show the students which way, first of all, where to start. And it also allows the students to go down both sides of the cans, so that kids can be putting things in on either side. We start with the food share cooler, so anything they didn't want to eat can go in there. Next are the milk buckets, where the students pour their milk out. Most cartons are not, like the milk cartons usually are not recyclable in most places. In Novato, they actually are, but I set this up to show it, for if you could not recycle those cartons, the next thing is the trash can. So the students can pour out their milk and then just put the carton straight into the trash can. The next step is the recycling cart. And finally, the goal is that by the time they get to the compost, there's not going to be any recycling or trash that's going to end up in there. Now, our compost monitors actually stand between the trash can and the recycling cart. I didn't have enough space to put a little person in there. And the same between the recycling cart and the composting cart. And it's always great to have someone at the very end of the line of the compost cart who can then kind of help them stack their trays. Next slide, please. So just a quick note on edible food recovery. So most of our waste stations do have a food share cooler or basket, and that is, like what you'd normally expect, whole fruit with peels for packaged foods that have not been opened. The vast majority of our food is eaten by our students or by their families. And anything that's left over that students haven't picked up or families, the whole fruits, the non-perishable foods in plastic wrappers or containers can be returned to the kitchen to be cleaned and used later. For the remaining food, which again is very little food, it's so little that we're not able to get groups like Extra Foods to come pick it up, but it's enough that we feel bad throwing it away. So we're really lucky that Conservation Corps just got funding from the Novato Sanitary District to buy refrigerated vans, and they can actually transport the food to one of our local community centers. If this hadn't happened, we were actually already looking into working with an app like Hungry or Carrot so that we could get the products out to our families. That, of course, requires that someone be in charge of saying, we have this food, and then being there when someone picks it up. So we're really happy that we don't have to go to that level of supervision for that. Next slide, please. So it's consistent cart order. I think, just it needs to stay the same every time. It also, we had this issue in maybe some other schools too, where we only had the right number of composting containers or recycling containers for our waste stations. And so on the day that it had to go to the curb, sometimes the haulers would get to it a little later in the day and we wouldn't have anything for snack or lunch and we'd have to put out boxes. And while it doesn't seem like a big deal, it really does make the custodian's job much more challenging to have to find the right boxes and then put them out. And the kids do tend to get a little confused by it. There's not the same colors, there's not a sign on it. So we really are trying to get everything the same order. And our Recology Sonoma Marin has worked with us, and now we have extras, which is fantastic. We can't put them all out at the curb at the same time, but it has made our lives so much easier and our program go so much more smoothly. Next slide, please. So we really try to have our programs be student-led. That is our goal, is that students are the one taking the lead. And I'm going to talk about that next, and they do a phenomenal job. But at the end of the day, we really do still need a grown-up in the room. And we've been so lucky with our fellows that they could be there every day and kind of be that grown-up. Now that we are ready to transition the schools to be more in charge of their zero waste programs, we are working with them to find what is the best solution to having someone be responsible. And what we're trying out this year is yard supervisors, because the schools can actually set the rules around the task for the yard supervisor, so they can actually assign that one day a week they also work as the compost lead. So in that day they'd be at the waste stations, but the rest of the week they wouldn't have to. And so the idea is that we're training all of the yard supervisors before school starts. And so one person that day will be the one who's at the waste stations. They'll be reminding the students, hey, it's your day to work. They'll probably be opening the lids, because that's something students frequently don't like to do. And then just making sure things are getting in the right place. And the other yard supervisors, I think once they have some buy-in, because they know, the next day they're going to be doing it, they're more likely to be able to follow up with slowly releasing the students from the tables, making sure that they look first to see if the students are already through the line and they can release another group. And then also just giving instructions like form a line, just go in one direction. And of course, the right equipment always helps. And what we've seen in our schools is that the yard supervisors who have a microphone headset really get the best response, because these are generally parents. They don't really want to yell at kids, which makes sense. But this way they can use their normal talking voice and the kids can still hear them. We do have some schools though that do whistles and bullhorns, so those also work if that's your preference. Next slide, please. So our student compost monitors, those are green team members. Those are really, this is the heart of the program. And they are the ones that really put in the most work and most effort, are the most committed. They're incredible. So the way we find our student compost monitors is we're doing the trainings already in the classroom. And so we ask during those meetings, like, okay, who wants to help out? And then we have the teacher write it down and, sometimes give a little note if they think a person would be really good at that job. At lunchtime, we just seek the kids out those first couple of days at lunch. Usually I don't know who they are, so I just yell their names or I ask a student to point me in the right direction. And then they sign up for a day. And when they sign up to work on a day, we say, oh, okay, well, what about your friends? Do you have friends who want to do this too? So they kind of recruit more students. And it also ensures if they're with their friend group that they're going to more likely continually be working as compost monitors. We post a schedule near the waste station, and that is so that the yard supervisors, or whoever the adult is, knows who's supposed to be working that day, just in case there's no one there. And then we have students usually pick up grabbers from a designated spot, and that's because our campuses are open. And if we leave the grabbers out, they will walk away. Once the students finish eating lunch, then they go up to the waste stations and then they help all the other students sort their waste. And the last step is returning the grabbers. And then, of course, if they are listening to me, going to wash their hands. Next slide, please. So I hear a lot about how students really should be doing this out of the kindness of their heart. And I agree. I think it's really, volunteering is so incredibly important. I also recognize that there's literally no one else who will do this job. The schools cannot pay someone to do this. It's not, the custodians are not trained. They're not given the equipment or the time to be able to do these things. And so the students are doing a job that no one else is able to do. And for me, we really need to show them appreciation, and we also need to do things so that they will continue coming and working at the waste stations. So any kind of engagement from yard supervisors, just like saying hi, thanking them for their work, acknowledgement from their teacher or the principal is huge. Pictures of this is the green team, giving them certificates at the end of the year. We provide mid and end of year celebrations with pizza and popsicle parties. We also give out a raffle ticket for participation. So every time someone works, they get a ticket. And then at the end of the month, we have a little raffle, and it's small stuff. We try not to give out junk that's just going to fall apart because it is a zero waste program. So we'll do things like some art supplies, books. We also sometimes raffle off an art class that if the student picks that, then all of the green team members get to have the art class together. And then probably our favorite part is the monthly green team meeting. And this isn't just for those waste monitors. This is for the other students who maybe don't like getting quite as dirty and hands-on with our waste, but are really interested in climate change, climate action. And what these green team meetings do, there's the education component and then of course the action. And it's so important that students can see that they actually have something they can do that really, really makes a difference. They're just kids and they can make a difference. So for me, this is truly an opportunity for leadership and also some job training as well for these students. So really any kind of acknowledgement or rewards we can give them, I think they very much deserve. Next slide, please. So just one note, we do more than just work at the waste stations. We also focus on classroom recycling and classroom paper recycling and composting paper towels. So again, the night custodians, they have half as much time as our day custodians, so they can't be picking through classroom recycling and seeing if there's contamination. For our schools, we ask them to just put paper in the classroom recycling. Technically, they don't need to based on our waste hauler, but as soon as someone puts a plastic bottle in there that can be recycled, then all the wrappers and everything else ends up in there. So we just do paper. And this is a student-led project because the custodians don't have time And so what we ask is that the principal or the office manager actually gets on the intercom and reminds students when to take out the empty container, or when to take out the containers to empty them. And this is really helpful. My kids went to school in Lucas Valley, and the principal every Friday got on the intercom and said, okay, it's time to take out the recycling and compost. And they would send a student from each class to do that. And it worked really well. So that is what we recommend for schools and what has been most successful for us. Next slide, please. So just to celebrate, we are incredibly happy that for the 2024-25 year, all 8 of our elementary schools are compliant with SB 1383. And here are some of our compost monitors looking very happy. The one in the middle is their end of the year party. It wasn't popsicles, it was watermelon. It was, yeah, they loved it. Next slide, please. Overall, we've had 13 California Climate Action Corps Fellows. We'll get 4 more next year. Unfortunately, AmeriCorps funding has been cut, and so that's being reflected in the number of fellows that we're getting. We have diverted over 300,000 pounds of food waste, trained over 3,000 students how to recycle and compost. So basically all of the kids in our elementary schools. We've diverted over 6,500 pounds of edible food. We've cut milk waste in half at 3 schools by introducing milk dispensers. And this is really a big one. We'd like to get more milk dispensers into our schools because each school is producing 5 gallons of milk waste every day. So that adds up pretty quickly. And, you know, it's just been great working with Cody Williams and the kitchen staff. They've really gone above and beyond in terms of reducing packaging and repackaging of food. So a big thank you to Cody. Next slide, please. And now I'm just going to offer the stage to Cody.
Thanks, Lisa. Just to finish up, high level offer versus serve. Instead of serving all 5 meal components, offer versus serve allows us to serve via most often our salad bar, a wide variety of fresh fruits and vegetables daily that students want to choose to consume. So they're not given items they may not want. It's about selection the items that they do want, which helps prevent food waste and also a variety of entrees as well. I believe that is it for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to Cody and Lisa. It was great to hear about your programs, and it's clear that you've both put in a lot of work to make them as successful as they are. Our next presenters are Julie Abatelli and Paige Arnett. Julie Abatelli has been with El Dorado County's Environmental Management Department for over 3 years, serving in the Solid Waste Division. As the county's first sustainability coordinator, a role created in response to SB 1383, Julie brings a collaborative spirit and a knack for building strong partnerships. Her work has been key in helping El Dorado County embrace an education-first approach to sustainability. With Julie is Paige Arnett. Paige Arnett is the Food Scraps and Recycling Program Manager for El Dorado County at Breathe, California in the Sacramento region. For the past 2 years, she has aided in efforts to promote organics recycling and sustainable waste practices in K-12 schools across the greater Sacramento region. And Darren, if I could have you prepare their presentation, please, and I will pass it to Julie and Paige. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Julie Abatelli with El Dorado County. To get us started, I wanted to kind of give a big picture of the county. So if you want to go to the next slide. And I think we can, well, maybe leave it there for everybody for a little bit if you wanted to get my contact info. But big picture, I know it can be a little intimidating watching these webinars. They're often presented by jurisdictions with lots of staff, resources, lots of funding. And that's not quite our story. It's essentially just me, no team, and we're a semi-rural jurisdiction. When I started in late 2021, most of SB 1383 compliance and outreach in our county has been handled by our waste haulers. On top of that, we were facing the Caldor fire that devastated our communities. So by that time, it really took us a while to get on board. And we received local assistant grant funding. And at that time, we also had about 60 violations with our corrective action plan. So I really had my work cut out for me. And with that, we decided to take an education first approach. This was informed by our demographics and landscape. El Dorado County is geographically pretty big. We span all the way to South Lake Tahoe. We also don't have mandatory service in most areas. South Lake Tahoe didn't even have carts. Our waste hauler, El Dorado Disposal, had over 8,000 customers without green waste service. So, I mean, we were coming out of the dark ages over here, and that really drove our priorities to focusing on schools, because the real challenge for us right now is this huge behavior change. We're essentially asking people to pay more for a service they may not even want or understand. And kids, we felt, were our best hope. They influence families and they take information home. At that time, Breathe was really the only provider offering these kinds of services in this region. And so in a lot of ways, you know, that made my choice really easy, but we also lucked out with Breathe because they have been able to adapt their programs for us. They co-created the program with me. And most importantly, they were willing to do the legwork to outreach to the schools. The outreach turned out to be a lot harder than I expected. I had this great imagination that there would be district level coordination. Everyone would be excited about this free service we were offering to them. And that wasn't the case at all. No one responded to me. I presented to the superintendents, crickets. So it really wasn't until I said, we have money, that someone responded to me. And even then, it was tough to onboard 10 schools. And that was our initial goal, was to onboard 10 schools within the county. We worked with our local jurisdictions. We really didn't have boundaries when it came to it. It was just any schools that were willing to come on board. And so Paige will speak a lot more about the actual program and our success stories, but just know it didn't come out without a lot of follow-up and hard work. I'm incredibly grateful to Paige and Breathe team for sticking with it. I'm proud of the relationships we built, and I'm looking forward to continuing this work into the next school year. Our goal for the next school year is to onboard another 15 schools and provide resources like supplies to the remaining 20 schools within the county. So we're looking at about 45 schools total. Once our contract is up in April 2026 and we've exhausted all our OWR4 grant funds, we plan to hand the torch back to our hauler and continue the relationships with the schools. So please let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for letting me share a little bit of our journey. Now to Paige for the feel-good, fun stuff.
Perfect. Thank you, Julie, for that introduction. We have had so much fun working with El Dorado County this year. Could we do the next slide, please? And then that was a little bit more about Julie's information there. And then next slide, please. Okay, perfect. So as they mentioned, my name is Paige. I'm the Food Scraps and Recycling Program Manager for our El Dorado County contract at Breathe. So I'm just going to share a little bit today about our Food Scraps and Recycling Program and a little bit about our organization. I'll talk about our program partners and how this program is implemented in schools and a little bit in the community as well. And then I'll finish off with some of our key highlights and some of our successes as well. So next slide, please. Perfect. So since 1917, SAC Breathe has been a dedicated nonprofit advocating for clean air and healthy lungs. So our mission primarily focuses on education, community engagement, and innovative solutions that drive meaningful policy change. So for over a century, we've worked to enhance the health and well-being of our community. Next slide, please. So the Food Scraps and Recycling Program, it was initially introduced in 2018 to assist K through 12 schools with diverting their compostable and recyclable waste from the landfill, so supporting SB 1383's goal of reducing emissions. So our team works with our partners and K through 12 schools to help them implement organic recycling programs while also educating students and staff on the environmental benefits of composting and landfill reduction. So our mission is to advocate for systemic policy change while also creating lasting behavioral shifts that benefit public health, improve our air quality, conserve resources, and overall just build a cleaner, greener future. Next slide, please. Okay, so yeah, our partners are spread throughout the region. In the past, we've worked with Sacramento County and Twin Rivers Unified School District. Currently, we are partnered with El Dorado County, the City of Sacramento, and the City of West Sacramento. So through these partnerships, we're working together to advance waste reduction and sustainability initiatives in the community. And like El Dorado County, often these jurisdictions receive grants or funding from other sources, and they use that funding to contract SAC Breathe for outreach and education. So that makes the program completely free to the schools that we do work with. So yeah, next slide, please. Perfect. So in the next couple of slides, I'm just going to talk about how our program works in K through 12 schools. Next slide, please. And so our food scraps and recycling program typically starts by working really closely with the school districts and the admin where the program is going to be implemented, just to secure their approval and bring everybody on the same page. So we provide each school and school district with a comprehensive overview of the program while also addressing any logistical concerns or questions that they might have. And then it's at that time too where we can connect them with their waste hauler to address any questions the school might have about their hauling logistics, like what size their organic dumpster might be or how often it might be picked up. And then after addressing all of those concerns and questions, we collaborate really closely with the school administration to schedule staff trainings and school-wide education, and then 5 to 10 days of consecutive lunchtime support. And then I do want to note too that some of the schools that we visit, they may or may not have sorting infrastructure already in place. So more often than not, we're starting completely from scratch. So prior to the program launch, our team procures all the necessary materials for organics recycling. So usually that is like the green cans, appropriate signage for all of the cans, a startup supply of liners, and then also positive incentives for the students and staff. Next slide, please. So a key aspect of our program is school-wide education. We really feel like the success of the program is dependent on making sure that all students receive a proper introduction to the new waste sorting practices that are being implemented at the school, and also the importance of proper waste sorting. So helping them understand the new changes and also the reasons why those changes are being implemented. So we do this by engaging with the students through fun, interactive presentations and sorting games. So our typical school-wide launch, usually it's on a Monday morning, and we start with an age-appropriate school-wide assembly. Our presentation is about 15 minutes long, and it covers composting, proper waste sorting practices, food sharing guidelines, the importance of sorting waste, and also the environmental consequences of landfills. And throughout the presentation, we try to play interactive waste sorting games with the kids where they're encouraged to participate and show what they've learned. So just trying to get them involved. And many schools might not have the capacity to hold a school-wide assembly. So as an alternative, we do offer in-class presentations for a more tailored experience for each age group. And then we can also table at the school if they don't want to do in-class presentations or an assembly. We can do tabling with interactive waste sorting activities, incentives, and educational material as well. And then rather than a presentation, our Twin Rivers Unified School District contract featured a farmers market in collaboration with their nutrition services department. So it was really cool. Students had an opportunity to select fresh produce from the nutrition services staff, and then our food scraps team would give a brief introduction to the new waste sorting practices in the cafeteria. So those are just a few options for school-wide education, but we really try to make it as flexible as possible for the schools that we work with. Sometimes it looks a little different than this, but that's just so we can make sure that the program fits the needs of each unique school. Next slide, please. So then another key aspect is training and collaboration. So ensuring that all staff are trained and on board with the new waste sorting process, we find is really key to the program's long-term success. So depending on the needs of each school, we can host in-person or virtual key staff trainings with all school staff members. And throughout the trainings, we always ask them, we encourage them to ask questions and make suggestions as they see fit. And then while we're on site, we do collaborate really closely with the custodial and the cafeteria staff to ensure that the new waste station setup fits the needs of the school and makes the sorting process as seamless as possible. And so we'll work with them really closely to go over the disposal guidelines, how to identify contamination. And we do recognize that this is a big added step for cafeteria staff. So their buy-in is really important to the overall sustainability and success of the program. So we really do work hard to try to build a positive relationship with all of the school staff so that they know that their voices are definitely listened to. And so once all of our students receive the education and the staff as well, we usually start our 5 to 10 days of waste sorting support, which is where the real magic happens. And during this time, we're on site during lunchtime, guiding the students through the waste sorting process. So we walk around and engage with the students. We ask them to look at their trays and point out one thing they think could go in the organics or one thing that they think could go into the landfill. And then we also stand by the waste station and guide them through each step as they're learning the new process. And we try our best at this time to keep the waste station setup extremely consistent, and also the language that we're using has to be really simple, especially as the students are just beginning to learn and grasp the new concept. And then while we're on site, we also offer a super sorter program where we encourage students to participate in the waste sorting process and help their fellow peers sort correctly. So we can work really closely with the student leaders to train them on each aspect of the waste station setup. And we don't require them at each school, but we do strongly encourage them. We find that it's an excellent way to limit contamination and to also relieve some stress from custodial and cafeteria staff as well. Next slide, please. Yeah, so not only do our super sorters contribute to the overall success of the program, but we also have found that the program allows young people to take charge and be leaders. We've found it empowers students and allows them to learn transferable skills like responsibility, teamwork, and problem solving. And it fosters inclusion where all students, no matter their age or ability, can be super sorters. And then finally, it elevates social justice where students feel like they're making a positive difference on their school and on their environment. Next slide, please. To assist schools with edible food recovery, we also help them implement food share carts or tables. So while on site, we can educate students and staff on proper food sharing guidelines, what can be shared and what can't be shared, just to help eliminate food waste in the cafeteria. And then we also work with the nutrition services staff just to provide resources and guidance for tracking and donating their edible food. Next slide, please. Program implementation at high schools can look a little bit different than an elementary school. So oftentimes a school-wide assembly might not be the best form of education for high school students. So at high schools, we usually work with seniors or environmental clubs and green teams to focus on a more student-led program implementation approach. So often in these situations, SAC Breathe provides all the resources and support for the student leaders, and then we work together with them to implement organics recycling at their school. Next slide, please. And then program sustainability, our team always makes sure to check in with the schools we've worked with to make sure everything is running smoothly. Things might come up throughout the school year, like staffing changes, and we're always happy to return for additional site visits or trainings and lunch support as needed. And then toward the end of the school year, we return to perform a waste audit where the schools can learn how much food waste they diverted from the landfill throughout the school year. And then we'll also conduct key staff surveys to get the input from all the staff members at the school on the food scraps program, which we find is a really great way to just better understand how successful the program has been at each school and also to identify any areas that we can improve. And then we encourage admin to stay connected through our quarterly newsletters and then also our free online toolkit that contains updated resources and information on SB 1383. Next slide, please. So we find that participating in community events with interactive waste sorting activities can also further enhance the community's understanding of proper waste sorting practices. So We participate in all kinds of events to engage with community members, to talk with the parents and guardians about what their students are practicing at school, and answer any questions that they might have. So some examples of events that we participated in are community night outs, back to school night, open houses, and Earth Day, and much more. Next slide, please. And then, so for key highlights and success, these are the results from our 2024 to 25 waste audits. So since our first program launched in 2018, we have successfully launched this program at over 70 schools. And for the 2024 to 25 school year, we were really proud to say that approximately 88 tons of food waste had been diverted from the landfill following our program launches. Next slide, please. And then here we just have some testimonials from our partners that we've worked with. I know these slides will be included in the recording when it's posted if you want to reference it later on. But many of our partners highlight our flexibility and our ability to tailor the program to each individual school that we work with. Next slide, please. And then that is the end of my presentation. So thank you all so much for listening, and thank you CalRecycle for allowing us to be a part of this webinar and for allowing us to share a little bit about our program. And yeah, if you'd like to learn more, this is our contact information, so please feel free to reach out. And that's it. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Julie and Paige, for sharing your experience and successes with us. Both of you are contributing to the success of your communities, and we're very, very grateful. Our next presenters are Sarah Papineau-Brandt with Salinas Valley Recycles and Irene Vargas with Alisal Union School District. Sarah Papineau-Brandt has served as the School Outreach and Education Coordinator for Salinas Valley Recycles for the past 4 years. In this role, she leads efforts to engage schools and youth in environmental education, sustainability practices, and legislative compliance. Prior to joining the agency, Sarah built a strong foundation in youth and community engagement through her work as an elementary school teacher, youth programs coordinator, and recreation director. In 2016, she collaborated with a Holler partner to develop an innovative summer camp program that was honored with a Governor's Environmental and Economic Leadership Award. Sarah's passion lies in empowering young people and building partnerships that create lasting environmental impact. With Sarah is Irene. As a nutrition director with 20 years of experience in the role and 25 years dedicated to food service within the district, Irene Vargas has had the privilege of driving significant change in food sustainability, processes, and community involvement across 12 schools. Her journey has been rooted in transforming the way that her school communities, from students and teachers to parents, engage with and understand their food systems. And then Darren, if I could have you queue up their presentation, please, and I will pass it over to Sarah and Irene. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. We are delighted to be here today to present to you. So again, my name is Sarah Papineau-Brandt. I'm from Salinas Valley Recycles. We have worked very collaboratively with Alisal Union School District to get all 12 of their schools, now 13. They have a new school coming online this year with Buckhorn Preschool coming online this year. So we look forward to implementing them as well. Next slide. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Salinas Valley Recycles and what we do with our service, and then we'll talk how we collaborate with Alisal Union School District. So Salinas Valley Recycles, we're a joint powers agency representing Salinas, Gonzales, Soledad, Greenfield, and King City, and unincorporated Monterey County. We're one of the largest counties in California, and so we have a very large service area. We have as well as our educational component, our resource recovery team. We operate 1 open landfill, 2 closed landfills. So we're a very busy group here at Salinas Valley Recycles. Next slide. Our philosophy in resource recovery and with our schools is that we're committed to build strong, lasting relationships with our schools that are grounded in mutual trust and responsibility. Our goal is for administrators, teachers, staff, and students to know that they can count on us as go-to resources for both legislative and environmental education support, whether it's new compliance requirements or launching school gardens. When they think environmental, we want them to think about Salinas Valley Recycles. We want them to think that they can come to us for anything. And a lot of times when they think that we're an agency, that they think we're a government agency, they think that we're here to compliance, that they think we're a lot of times that we're like the health department. We're here to make sure that they're doing the right thing. And we want them to know that we're really here for them, and we will always be here for them, that we're not going to do what we're contracted to do and then we're going to leave and walk away. We want them to know that we're always here, that we're consistent, that we're responsive, and that we're always present. So that's our goal in creating relationships. Next slide. We also work very closely with our haulers. So whenever we walk into a school with to implement a program, we bring our haulers with us to the best of our abilities. We have 3 haulers that we work with in our service area. Those are Tri-Cities Disposal and Recycling, Republic Services, and Waste Management. And we always bring our haulers with us, whether it's going into a school to talk about SB 1383, or it's recycling, or it's with our youth council program. By building strong partnerships with our haulers and actually having our haulers come with us to those meetings with schools, we don't have to have someone make another phone call or refer them to someone. They're actually right there with us, and they bring notes about the school's service with them to those meetings, and so they can answer the questions about what are the services that the schools already have. And that's a really I think it's a unique situation that we're able to provide to our schools and to our businesses as we go out and meet with them. And I think it's just the next step in building that trust with our schools. Next slide. Who we represent, we have some of our cuties there. We have 270,000 residents in our service area. I represent 99 schools total. I have 17 high schools, 9 middle schools, 63 elementary schools, 8 preschools that are not included in the elementary school count, and 2 exceptional child sites. According to California Department of Education data, that's approximately 62,426 students that we serve in our region, and so that's a lot of kiddos that we can touch. I think they mentioned in one of the other presentations that it's a good place to start. I think a lot of what do you call them? When you want to get to the parents, the kids can make parents do things that they otherwise wouldn't do. So it's a good place to start. Next slide, please. What we do at Salinas Valley Recycles through schools is we have a great new education center out at our Johnson Canyon landfill. We offer field trips to our education center and our landfill. This last year, we started a grants program where we pay for those buses to come out to our education center. So our education center field trips are always free, but we recognize that our schools, a lot of times our classes have problems paying for the buses to get them there. So we have a grant program available to pay for those buses to get those kiddos to our education center so that they can see the juxtaposition of the landfill, where their waste goes if they don't recycle it. We also have our compost facility right there on site so the kids can see where their food waste is going and how it's turning into compost. And then that's one of their favorite things to see. Also our depackager, where they get to see where their food waste comes and why they can use a compostable bag in their school food waste, but not at home. And that's a question we get a lot. So we do field trips to our education center. We do legislation implementation. Of course, you all know what the legislation is that we're working on these days. Our main focus is mostly SB 1383. I do a lot of school presentations focused on a recycle right presentation, meet our decomposers, where we take our worms out to the classrooms and the kids can see what the worms are doing, and our other decomposers on composting. We do careers in the waste industry, lots of landfill presentations. Next slide, please. We do schools and garden composting assistance. We can help with designing and planning gardens. bringing that compost back into the schools. I think it's really important that the kids can see that where their food waste is going and becoming compost. And then when it can come back onto their school campus, we complete that circle with them, that they know that that food could have come from their school lunch and is now coming back into their school garden, completing that circle with them. We do lots of trainings with staff, green teams, administrations, and then we customize training to the needs of schools. We also create static and video presentations and education materials for schools. We have a lot of those on our website that you guys can go look at if you'd like to. And then we have something that's pretty unique, I think, throughout the state and maybe throughout the country, is that we have a youth council program. So all of our high school students from all of our high schools are invited to join our youth council program, which allows students to learn about the waste industry and then take a sustainable program that they develop back into their high schools. That's how we help our high schools develop their environmental and sustainable programs. So these two pictures here you'll see are from our youth council from last year. And they do community-wide projects. The top one is from a garden restoration project that we did as a community project. And the bottom one is a individual school project that our Notre Dame high school students took on, which was a fast fashion project they took on for their school year. Next slide. These are our compliance numbers. We have 82 schools that are fully compliant, 11 that are on waivers, and we have 6 that are still non-compliant. So we're working to get there. Next slide. These are some of our green teams in action. We do encourage green teams on every school site. The only school site, we only have one school site that chose not to do a green team in their implementation process. And then on implementation day, they were calling for school kids from the playground to come and help. So I think they actually did come back and create a green team afterwards. But these are some of the kiddos in our green team process. You can see that they're teaching other students on campus. I think that when we've heard from other presentations that getting students involved is absolutely critical. And we're going to talk to Irene about that. Irene, do you want to talk about that right now while we're looking at these pictures?
Sure. Thank you, Sarah. Hello, everybody. Regarding the green teams, when we started this SB 1383 initiative, as far as what it was going to look like, green teams weren't actually brought up yet until we met Sarah. Sarah said green teams can maintain the food sustainability throughout the school year and years after, as long as we teach the principals, the teachers, the concept of what the green team was. And it's been very successful, and it keeps the program sustainable every school year. And I do agree, you do need to introduce it, let them know, especially when their new kids come to the school or they're starting their first year in school. They have someone to look up to in the green team to guide them, and then they get used to the routine, because this is not just at lunch, this is at every meal service, breakfast, second breakfast, lunch, and supper. So, and then of course the recycling in the classrooms with the paper, it all kind of goes hand in hand. And when we educated the principals why they were important to keep the food sustainability going throughout the years, they finally came on board, and it's been a huge success. And the students take pride in that, working together.
I think that one thing to point out with the green teams is when we go into the schools, we've really found that a lot of students who really have nothing to take pride in school, that they really step up and they notice that students who are on the green team, who maybe were allowed to be on the green team, who are having a lot of tardies or having trouble in school completing assignments, that when they take pride in this and the school allows them to take part, that we've actually had schools come back to us and say, hey, they're actually doing better in school because they've been allowed to take part in the green team. They're actually coming to school. They're coming to school on time because they have something that they can take pride in. And so that's actually been it doesn't have anything to do really with the environment, but it has something to do with the pride that the kids can take in being a member of the green team. Next slide, please. These are our adult leaders in action. So we don't just educate the kids on these programs. we are educating our adult leaders as well. And a lot of times I find, and you guys might find as well, that when we first go in, a lot of people, a lot of the adults are kind of grumbly. It's another program that we have to implement. We have to do it. But we actually find that when we start going in and we start educating the adults, especially the custodians and the lunchroom supervisors, they actually find that this program is not as difficult as they thought it was going to be. And they actually get really involved. These are some of our champion custodians here that you see in these pictures, and they did a really good job of jumping in, and they actually started to educate the students themselves. We have on our website, we have some videos that we actually ask the custodians to watch. They're bilingual videos for the kitchen staff, the lunchroom supervisors, and the custodial staff to watch it. We call it a train the trainer video, and it's everything that they need to know about this program. We actually ask one person from each staff to watch it and then go back and train their other staff. And it's a 20-minute video. It talks about everything that they need to know to make this program successful. So I'm going to talk about another step in a minute that will explain why those videos are important. Next slides. So this is our history of our relationship with LaSalle School District. We started training students to recycle and divert food waste at one school, and that was Jesse Sanchez Elementary School. One of our other staff, Estela Gutierrez, she helped the school get grants to obtain reusable serviceware. And that was a long process for that one school, and we turned that process into a succinct process that could be duplicated at the other schools. Also for us at the beginning, we were going for a week long at each school, but we've able to develop that program so that our full team is there for one day on site, and our green teams kind of take over from there. We develop student green team trainings that we do ourselves before implementation day. We've built interest around environmental learning on campuses, and the students continue to learn and grow. So you'll see on the right-hand side that that's kind of our 5-step process. We initiate contact with school administration, and we get the buy-in before we even ask to go on school campuses. So if you don't have admin buy-in from district level admin, you're never going to get on campus at each individual site. So we get the buy-in from the administration at the district level, and then we set up primary site meetings. We like to do primary site meetings with several of the site level administration at a time. It just makes it a little bit easier, and it's like meeting with 3 to 5 principals at a time. Sometimes that's a whole district, sometimes it's just a few. And then we set out to do build your program meetings. And when we do a build your program meeting, that's each individual school site. That's where we take this, we have a packet, and we go through different steps. And that's where we start to customize each program to each school site. And we ask for each school site to build a SEST team, School Environmental Sustainability Team. And it's someone from the kitchen, it's someone from the custodial team, it's someone from the supervision team, the lunchtime supervision team. It's someone that's going to be in charge of the green team, and it's a school administrator. And we meet all together for 1 hour, and we build their program at their school. And when they're done, we have a packet that is able to be uploaded into Recyclist with all of their information in it. And we have already developed dates for their green team training. We've developed dates for, we've found dates for their school staff meeting that we're going to go to and talk to their staff. We've developed their implementation dates so that they have all those dates in their calendar. And then, like I said, that whole packet can get uploaded to Recyclist so that we have a whole plan that can get uploaded and that the CalRecycles can see, and that we take that plan and we give it to the school so the school also has their plan on site. When it comes to implementation day, everybody has watched the videos. We have a series of 6 videos that are 2 minutes long that the whole school can watch and see those videos before they even get to implementation day. We also have a video game. I think we're going to go over that in a minute though. And then after implementation day, where the whole team comes in, our whole team, our haulers all come, The district admin usually comes, usually for LSL, it's Irene. And we spend the day at lunchtime and we do a whole implementation. Usually it's a party day. Some schools choose to wear green on that day. It's a really great day. And then we come back usually a few months later and do a compliance review. But that doesn't mean that we're off limits the whole time. School can always call me and say, hey, this isn't working for us. And I'll come back and we'll tweak it and we'll figure it out. Next slide. And so this is kind of, Irene, I don't know if you want to talk about this or if you want me to talk about it, but LSL began after we implemented with them to take their own steps towards sustainability. Irene, do you want to talk about these items?
Yeah. This is one of the things that I had started before we met Stella. We had share racks because it's my superintendent actually approached me and said, we need to do something about the food waste. We also implemented the traveling apple policy, and our share rack was a lot more simpler than that. But it was a start. We didn't have a liquid waste container, and we weren't diverting the food yet. But we started that, and then the back of the house. Of course, we didn't have the containers until Salinas Valley Recycle got us a grant. Then we started putting signs. That was Sarah's idea. We had always had a cold holding for the cold items, but it was mostly milk. And then we implemented, when Salinas Valley started, a hot box. So we have a timer, and the staff checks the timer to remove the milk and the hot food if it's not taken within a certain amount of time. And that's been a huge success. And we implemented that right away. And the parents were happy to see that we could reuse some of the fruit if it wasn't bitten, of course, like apples, oranges, bananas, things like that. Things that weren't that were not opened, we could reuse and put it back into our reimbursable program. So we started all those in 12 schools. So we had half of it. We didn't have the rest of it, not even quite half, but we started it. It wasn't until Salinas Valley Recycle gave us the information and the training and the knowledge and their expertise on how to get this done. But that's what we started doing. We already had scratch cooking. We hired a district chef. We were minimizing the waste in the back of the house as far as production. We were using organics as well. We still are. We're making our own salads, not ordering them packaged. We started reducing waste just from that. And then we took it, and then menu planning with all the students. I started a menu planning group with all the students. I showed them, I give them a PowerPoint, show them how we menu plan. It's kind of like learning how to an engineer, how to design a menu with the foods that they like. That, of course, I'm showing them foods that we can purchase or create. And we started the sampling. So it was a step in the right direction until we met Sarah. And then we started with green teams and the actual conversion of sorting the food waste and the liquid waste.
And so on their share rack, you might see there here on the top. I don't know if you can actually see on the top. They actually when they receive spork packets, when they're not opened, we ask the students to share those as well. If they're not opened, it's a spork napkin and straw packet. If they've not opened it and it's not disgusting, we ask them to share that as well. We ask them to share other things like condiment packets if they've not opened those as well. We ask them to not put those in the trash, but to share those in that top rack there. So there's other things that we're asking them to share. Because they would take like 10 ketchup packets and only use 2, and the rest were just going in the trash. So we asked them first not to take that many if they're not going to use them, but if they do take that many and they've not used them, we ask them to share them and put them back so that they can be used again. Next slide. So we do believe in open sourcing all of our materials. If you want to go to our svswa.org/schools, We have videos. All of our videos, again, are there. Again, you'll find all of our green team resources, the videos we use to train our green teams. We do go on site and we do those hour-long green team trainings. We have 2 years of green team trainings. So we have first-year student green team trainings and second-year student green team trainings. This will be the third year, so we might need a third year if they're a third-year student. Second year focuses a lot on leadership training. So we do believe that all of our materials that we create, we put up on our website on a school's filing cabinet. So if anybody would like to look at our materials or I know someone said they were looking for some sorting games and sort of stuff like that. We have some of those worksheets up on our website. Feel free to use them if you'd like. Next slide. We also have a video game that we created with CSUMB Computer Science Service Learning students. The goal was for students to learn how to use the waste station prior to seeing it on implementation day. And the outcome was that students who use the game are well prepared to sort properly, as well as depackage the food. Because one step in the video game, one level of the video game is that they actually have to determine if the food needs to be depackaged. So if the food is opened or if the milk is crumpled, they have to click on it twice to pour the milk out and then put the carton in the trash can. So they have to determine if they want to depackage it. They have to determine where it can be shared, and then they have to determine where in the sorting station it needs to go. So we have that video game online as well. And a lot of students, we can tell which students have played the video game and seen the videos. Go ahead, next slide. So again, these are our resources that we have online. There's a link there if you want to take a picture of it. That is, I believe that's our last slide. Next slide, if there is one. I don't think there is one. Oh, call to action. I don't want you guys to think ever that you're in this battle alone. A lot of people think that they are. Please use the resources that are on our website and the ones that are already out there. Use the agencies and people as resources. I'm totally willing to help. If you ever need help, just email me. Find the champions who are already out there and tap into our brain trust. We really do want to help. It's not just something that we say. We really do want to help, and willing to help at any time. So Irene, do you have anything you'd like to add to the presentation?
No, I just think that it's a work in progress. We got all our schools finally all rolled out, and now it's just maintaining the sustainability, which is very doable because you already have the buy-in, you already have the knowledge, you constantly have to train. Someone had said it the other slides. So it is doable and it doesn't cost a thing. Salinas Valley doesn't charge for all their services, so that's great.
Yeah. So thank you, CalRecycles, for allowing us to present today, and we'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
That was great. Thank you so much, Sarah and Irene. Your programs are a great example for school districts throughout the state, and we really appreciate all of your efforts. So let's give a virtual round of applause to the wonderful presenters that we had today. I want to extend a huge thank you to all of you. We're so grateful that you could share your programs, and thank you for your participation. Before we open up the floor to questions, next slide, please. Here is a quick reminder of some respectful expectations in this space during our discussion time. This includes being open to sharing new perspectives, being mindful of others waiting to ask questions, and speaking respectfully. And I will now pass it to Karina for the next slide.
Thank you, Emily. I will now go over how to submit a question or comment. For this webinar, we will be using the Q&A function. Please type a summary for your question into the Q&A pane. You may use the chat pane to share information or resources with other participants, but please do not put your questions into the chat. We will not be monitoring the chat for questions. If you do not see the Q&A pane, please make sure you have the most updated version of Zoom. My colleagues and I will be filtering through the questions. Once called upon, please unmute yourself and state your name, affiliation, and restate your question. If your question is geared towards a specific panelist, please note that CalRecycle is also available to answer questions, so feel free to include questions for CalRecycle as well. We will also be monitoring the SLCP inbox throughout the chat. You may send, peer share requests, feedback, and panelist questions to slcp.organics@calrecycle.ca.gov. Use the subject line SB 1383 chat with CalRecycle. If you cannot unmute yourself or are unable to use the Q&A pane, please also submit those questions to the SLCP inbox. If we do not get to your question during the Q&A session, we will have your LAMD representative get back to you. I will now pass the floor to Zach to begin our Q&A session.
Thank you so much, Karina. We're going to kick it off with our first question. This was from Casey Fritzes, who had to leave the webinar a little bit early today, so I'll be reading that question out loud, and it's directed at Deb with Vallecito Unified. The question was, how was the process of updating your dishwasher to wash the reusables? Did you have to go through a lengthy permitting process? We hear about the financial barriers. I'm also wondering if you need additional staff to manage dishwashing. We sometimes hear about limited staff time as a barrier too. Go ahead, Deb.
So I answered that with, first of all, we did have to hire staff, and but the people that we hired not only do help with the dishwashing, but they also do production, because we do grab and go meals and other production things that we use them with. The permit process, all of our plumbing was already in place. We didn't have to move any walls or create anything like that. So basically there wasn't any permits, but we did have to include the health inspector, our local health inspector, because we were changing out an old unit and putting a new unit in. And he just, he thinks he thought it was wonderful just because he knew what we had before. So it really was the whole dishwasher grant was really an easy process. We ended up with almost 80,000 from that grant, which afforded us new dishwashers in each of our 3 schools. So for us, it worked out perfectly.
Thank you, Deb. And I had a couple other questions here that were left in the Q&A. One of them was asking about providing a link for where folks could buy the Share Station cart that your team used, and also asking if you would be able to share the slide that you used that included the funding sources that you mentioned earlier. And we can definitely have those resources shared in the chat here if you have them, but I wanted to give you an opportunity here to, if you wanted to expand on, the sources that you used for those Share Station carts, you'd be welcome to.
So on the Share Station carts, are you able to go ahead and put those slides back up, or do I need to go in and do that? I was just trying to remember. It's a company out of Orange, California. I also noticed that another presenter had the same company. That you have a choice to go horizontal or vertical, and they also looks like they use the same company. And I can't. I could go back in and find that slide, but are you able to do that from your end?
Hi. I can do it. Which do you know what slide it is?
It was just the resources on the last page. Well, close to the last, that had right there. So it's GA Systems out of Orange, California. What's really cool about that is you could pick any color you want. It's super heavy duty, and we'll be using them for years to come.
Thank you so much, Deb, for sharing those resources, and to Darren for pulling up that information for us
thank
again.
you, Darren.
Appreciate that. All right, let's move on to our next question here. This was a question from Marie Knutson, and it was for Cody and Lisa with Nevada Unified. Marie, if you'd like to unmute yourself and read that question out loud for us, that would be great. I'll give Marie a few seconds more here to unmute if they're still in the chat with us. All right, I'll go ahead and read that question out loud. That question was, did you have trouble with kids seeing the signage on the can? If many are near it, we found that they block the view of the kids waiting to sort. Cody and Lisa, go ahead.
I think that it can be an issue. We've tried signage in different places. I think once they get used to the process, though, they don't really need to use the signs as much. So maybe in the beginning, but I think ultimately it helped more to be able to have the visuals there to get things in the right place.
Thank you. We have one more from Marie, and this was for Julie and Paige with El Dorado County and Breathe. Marie, are you able to unmute yourself to ask that question now? Right. Looks like they may still be having some trouble on their end. The question was, what are the incentives for staff? Julie and Paige, go ahead.
Yeah, I can answer that. It does depend on the specific contract and the grant requirements because some of the grants don't allow us to purchase certain things for incentives, so it can kind of vary. For some of the contracts in the past, we've been able to buy incentives like gift cards, like Visa gift cards, Amazon gift cards. I know that that's not allowed under a decent amount of grants, so we've also been able to put together like little gift bags with items like Stanley cups. And then occasionally we will ask staff for maybe like a list of items that they might have in their mind that they think would be helpful to perform like their job duties. So we have been able to provide items like garbage grabbers, additional trash dollies, things like that, just things that they find might improve like their day-to-day job, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and Paige, I just wanted to add one fun one was Northside School. One of the teachers there raised pigs. And so he actually ended up taking all of the organics home and he was able to grow a larger pig farm off of using the school's organics. So that was incentive for that staff member.
Yeah, and we've heard that that material is really valuable for those farmers too. So yeah, it's definitely great to be able to see that resource kept within the community. We have one more question that Marie posed, and this one was for Sarah and Irene, which was, what is the traveling apple policy?
Yeah, I will let Irene. Irene, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Go
The
ahead.
traveling out, yeah, I'm here. The traveling apple policy, I found out about it in 2000, I want to say 13, 12, when I had a review for supper. The auditor or the consultant asked, where's your traveling apple policy? Make sure you have it posted. So I looked it up right away and I found it on CDE. And it is where you can allow students are allowed to take home a fruit or a vegetable and a grain out of the cafeteria that is from the share rack and take it home. And I thought it was only supper, so I researched more and found out it's for all meal programs. So we have it in all our schools and we use that. But that's where I found it. I would have to get the resource and I could send it to you later and you could send it out to the group.
I posted the traveling apple policy in the chat.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, so it used to be that all food needed to be consumed in the cafeteria and it didn't allow students to take food away from the cafeteria. If it wasn't home. Yeah, if it wasn't consumed in the cafeteria at the time, it had to be disposed of. This policy allows students to take food out of the cafeteria and off school property. So
thank you, Sarah.
That answers the question.
Yeah, thank you both for sharing your thoughts on that. And Sarah, thank you for sharing that resource in the chat as well. Our next question is for all of our panelists. This was from Gavin Bruce about potential challenges of composting at schools. Gavin, if you're still with us, if you could unmute yourself and read that question out loud for us.
Yeah, sorry, it took me a minute there to pull it up. So what are potential challenges of composting at the schools? Like, having to separate out items like pizza, meat, or cheese, things like that, that aren't typically composted in home garden composting. So if you're trying to compost at the schools, you would have to implement a even further separation than just saying all food waste goes into this bin. You'd have to say this type of food waste goes in here and that type of food waste goes in there if you're composting it. So any experience with that?
So typically, commercial composting doesn't have that limitation. So if you're composting at home, like if you're doing worm composting or if you're doing backyard composting, you have that limitation. Commercial composting typically doesn't have that limitation. So with commercial composting, you're typically looking at the limitations of raw meat, raw bones, no liquid, no oil, no grease. I mean, we're using ASP composting at the Johnson Canyon landfill, and that's our limitations. And you're not serving those things to students, so that's where you get makes it a little bit easier with schools. So I don't know any schools that are doing backyard composting or worm composting. They might be. I do have a school in my service area that does some worm composting for the garden that they have, and they ask students, they have another bin that is just for fruits and vegetables, but that's something that they're doing specialized on campus, and they just have a smaller bin that says it's just for fruits and vegetables. But I don't know of any schools, there certainly aren't any schools in my service area that are doing any backyard or worm composting where they would need that level of separation. Anybody, I don't know of anybody else who's doing that kind of composting. It just takes too long for a commercial composting process.
Yeah, I would second that. There's just too much compost there's too much food waste for us to do anything with it really on site. And so we just send it off and we can put everything in there for meat and bones and everything.
Thank you, Lisa, Sarah, and Irene, for sharing your thoughts on that composting process. Our next question I'll also pose to all of our panelists who are here with us today. So if any of you are interested in answering this, you're welcome to. This question was from Nathan Kortson. Nathan, if you want to unmute yourself, share your name and affiliation, and reread that question out loud for us, that would be great.
Yeah, of course. So for our presentators using food sharing stations in their schools, do you guys ever donate the food that goes onto the cart? I'm wondering how that affects SB 1383 compliance with donating the maximum amount of edible food, because that food was technically served and not eligible for donation anymore.
Actually, that food is eligible for donation as part of SB 1383 because the second part of SB 1383 is edible food recovery.
Okay.
So if it's been kept hot or kept cold to a certain nth degree, we don't typically serve that out again, but the food that doesn't need to be kept hot or cold would be eligible for edible food recovery. And
Can you
so
possibly name some examples of food, like produce, the milk cartons?
like oranges, apples, bananas, packaged grains, those kind of thing. Like if the kids got a granola bar or if they got some chips in a package or those kind of things, those would be eligible for edible food recovery.
Okay.
So, but a lot of times those, I find anyways, other people can share the food that is being put in the share rack. A lot of times those foods are going back to like an after school program on campus. We find that, or other programs that we encourage are like teachers can sign up for like a food bag for their classroom left with the leftovers from the share rack that the cafeteria puts into a bag, and then the classrooms pick them up so that they're staying on campus. A lot of it doesn't even need to leave campus. But the second part of SB 1383 is edible food recovery, and that food that doesn't have to be kept hot or cold is eligible for edible food recovery. If anybody else has anything else to pitch in, I'd be happy to hear that.
Thank you, Sarah. I think that was a really thorough answer. I think you hit it all.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Appreciate hearing your thoughts. We have another question here for all of our panelists. This one is from Jenny Chang with Food Shift. Jenny, if you'd like to reread that question out loud for our panelists, that would be great. Thank you. And in case Jenny is not able to unmute right now, I'll go ahead and read that question for them. The question was, what do you all recommend to get buy-in from staff and faculty from schools to get buy-in and incorporate these programs and training in general for waste separation, et cetera? And again, I think this one's fairly applicable to all of our panelists here. So if anyone's interested in speaking on this, go ahead and turn on your camera and share your thoughts on this. Thank you.
I could, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that from our angle, we really just had to talk to as many people as we could. We reached out to all the science teachers, all the garden teachers, and eventually we found a garden teacher who knew the superintendent. So you really just have to find one key player who is really excited, who can kind of get things rolling. That was our experience.
In our experience at Vallecito Union School District, seeing is believing. And when the kids see the dramatic difference in garbage cans and what they started out with and what we ended up with, they go back to their classrooms and they tell their teachers, and then the teachers are in automatically. Then that word goes right up to the principal and then right up to the superintendent. And then we've got the key, that we've got the buy-in. So we try to set a really good example, but we're a small district, so the word of mouth goes far here.
So we kind of start the opposite direction. We get buy-in from the district admin first. And when they see all the programs that we have and all of the free information that we have, I know a lot of districts are paying a lot of money for consultants to do this for them. And then when we walk in and we say that we can do it for them for free, and we show them everything that we have to offer, we have their buy-in, and we walk into the schools. And when we walk in and we have all these free programming for them and free school presentations, and the teachers walk in and we do a presentation to teachers on free programming, and we'll bring the worms to your classroom. When I say we'll bring worms to your classroom, quite frankly, they're bought in. We'll entertain your kids for an hour and a half with free worms, and they're like, done, free worms, okay. Free field trips, all right. Yeah, and the kids love it, and they invite us back year after year after year. And honestly, when they know that we've done our due diligence and we know what we're doing with kids, and the kids, we come on campus and we're like rock stars to them. Not only does it feel good for us, but the teachers see that, and they know that we're good people to be on campus with them. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, and when they know we're not going to walk away, a lot of times they're really hesitant when they think you're just going to come on campus, you're going to do your thing, and then you're going to walk away. And when they know we're not going to walk away, they're like,
I love that.
Yeah, you're good people, you can stay. And then they buy in. And when we go in and the teachers always want to push you. Does anybody else find that? You go into a staff meeting and the teachers want to challenge you right away. Can you put nacho cheese in the food waste? Why, yes, you can put nacho cheese in the food waste. They always want to challenge you with something. Someone always thinks that they've got something that you've never heard before. And but once you have that discussion with them, and they'll buy.
I'll tell you, when CalRecycle showed up and they were a team of people, we got questions the next day from the kids, like, who are those people? What are they doing here? And we're small, but we're mighty, and we recognize all of that in all three of our schools. So thank you, CalRecycle. You guys were great.
I'd like to add, the buy-in that I got was the superintendent approached me and said, well, what are we going to do about this SB 1383. So I looked into it. So I had that support. Then he had principals meetings with each principal, told them what was happening. Then I did a presentation, and then we met Sarah. So the training that Salinas Valley Recycle provides is amazing, and it's all educational. There is an educational component for everyone. So it was just a matter of time to get them to meet with us. And I would say, okay, we have every leadership, we have 6 schools completed. We have 7, we finally got the last school. That took a little while, but we got them all. So they're evaluated on what programs they have in their site. So if I had any problems, I would just let them know this is the update and this is where we're at. And they would, give that principal a call and say, you need to contact Irene from Nutrition Services to get your program going. And they were unsure of the steps, but once Sarah explained everything, it wasn't that bad. It's organized. It gives you time to get everything in place. You pick a date. They set up how they're going to set up their stations. We give them all the resources. It's great. And when they learn, they realize. And we even had principals challenge Sarah. So, and she always had an answer. So that was great. And that's all they needed. So it's just getting that one meeting and the support from your superintendent. And it got the ball rolling.
We started backwards. We actually got a waiver for the SB. I can't remember the number right now.
1383.
We got a waiver because we are a small community. So we were moving ahead before it was a thing for our school district. And because we were implementing these things within our then our superintendent saw what we were doing. We were saving the school money and doing some great things. And then now he is fully on board.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
We did a lot of things too. I get what you're saying. It was just that one step that we needed the support, the education and buy-in on that one part that Salinas Valley was able to provide at no cost. So it's great. Now I have consultants calling me, are you up tomorrow with your 1383? And yes, we are.
That's great.
Yeah, so it's been great.
Yeah, thank you all so much for sharing your thoughts on that and what's worked well for your teams. Paige, I know I saw your camera on earlier. If you have anything you want to share, feel free to chime in.
I didn't really, you guys covered it really well, honestly. I will say that in terms of staff buy-in, we do get a lot of pushback, whether from the principal or a lot of times from custodial staff, because it is a huge extra job for them. So just trying to include them in all of the decision making we've found is really helping. When we're on site, we're always trying to help them whatever way we can. So wiping tables, sweeping floors, changing the trash bin liners, taking out the trash. So I find that really helps them feel like we're not just somebody coming in there telling them to make all of these changes and then leaving. And then also just incorporating like the student leaders into the program has been really helpful. There was one school site where we had over 50 students sign up to help out. And so I think that also helps kind of increase like the staff's like positive awareness of the program when they see how much the students like it and how much they want to get involved. And then it also just helps the custodians understand that like the new duties aren't going to completely fall on them and that the students can take on a lot of that responsibility too.
Yeah, I would kind of piggyback on what Paige is saying, is that for our custodians, they've actually thanked us because it cuts down on their work. And that's because they have, a third as much trash as they used to. Sometimes they don't even end up having to take it out every day because it's not full. And then they don't have to worry about the recycling and the compost except for once a week. So overall, I'd say our custodians, we promised them at the beginning, we won't create work for them. And I think they have been pretty happy with the results.
Thank you so much, Lisa and Paige, for contributing what's worked well for you. We're going to end with one final question here. This one is from Christina Sosa. Christina, if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself and read that final question out loud for us, that would be excellent. And I'm not sure if they're able to unmute here. So that question was, has anyone created or used videos or digital education that site principals can use for assemblies? And Breathe, I believe you guys had written an answer to this one. If you want to expand on that here, you're welcome to.
Yeah, we have a online toolkit. It's completely free, and we're always adding to it, but it does contain age-appropriate presentations that any school is welcome to use for school-wide assemblies or in-class presentations. We have like little animated videos that we created on there too that are really good for like the kindergarten students. But yeah, the toolkit has a lot of stuff on there, lesson plans, activities, things like that. So I can link it in the chat, but I did link it in the Q&A as well, or it is on our website, sacbreed.org.
Same with us. We have videos, animations on our website, presentations. Anybody's free to use those. Recycle Right. We have videos. Anybody's free to use them. They're on our website as well. And we do make custom presentations if anybody needed those in our service area. So.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. That's going to wrap up our Q&A for today. Really appreciate all of you sharing your thoughts on these programs. As we were talking about earlier, I think Sarah, you mentioned this, when these ideas get pitched to schools initially, just ask to start a big new program. But once you're there in person and really showing them that you're there to assist, it seems like that's where things really take off. So with that, we're going to hand things back over to RT, our MC for today. RT, take it away.
Great. Thank you so much, Zach. So this concludes today's SB 1383 chat with CalRecycle. We're so grateful to have all of our presenters share their insights today, and to all of the attendees for taking the time to join us and learn more about SB 1383 implementation. Your engagement is what makes these chats so valuable, and we appreciate your participation. Before we end, I wanted to share that we will work with our presenters to add some of these tools to our website. And this video will be posted on our YouTube channel in about a week. Again, if we did not get to your question, if you could please share your contact information with us, we want to be able to get back to you afterwards. And now I will turn it over to Marshall for closing remarks. Thanks.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Arthi. It was absolutely wonderful to hear about so many different programs addressing the needs for specific sites while also still taking a district-wide approach and leveraging community partnerships. I love that we were able to address organic waste recovery and traditional recycling, as well as edible food recovery and the whole share table component. I thought this chat really exemplifies the power of these engagements, and someone referred to brain trust, and I really want to use that as a foundation to express our gratitude for your contribution to this amazing brain trust. And with that, take care and continue to enjoy this beautiful summer season.